What's up, boys? Today we're watching the dumbest criminals and how they got caught. Comment down below what do you guys want us to react on next, and let's see. Let's
In
continue.
2012, Hannah Zapata from Waco, Texas, thought that she was a super smart criminal.
Uh-huh.
She had robbed a bank with a weapon and got away with
Okay, so
$6,000,
she's a
but she
pro.
also stole a Pontiac Grand Am thinking that she was like Robin Hood. Instead of laying low and enjoying her
Duh,
money,
no
she had a
way.
different idea.
She
She decided to
flexed
make a
it.
YouTube video about her crimes. She bragged about everything that she
What?
did, like she was teaching a class on how to rob a bank,
Yo,
and even showed off her stolen cash on
no
camera.
way. She's so
Instead of
dumb.
staying quiet and avoiding attention, she showed her crime to the entire world. And I mean, really, what was she
Oh,
thinking?
she's so
Did she
dumb.
expect that the police would give her applause? It didn't take long for the authorities to find her. They found her video online and then arrested her on the
No
same
way. On the
day.
same
It
day?
must have been quite the facepalm moment for the police. As for Hannah, she basically gave
The
them all the
evidence.
evidence
Oh
that they
my
needed,
god.
and it was an open and shut case. Her dream of being a famous YouTuber would be ruined,
Oh
and
my
she got a
god.
long prison
Poor
sentence.
girl. Poor
Uploading a
girl.
confession to YouTube is really dumb, but think about how much worse it could have been. What if she had began making tutorials on how to get away with bank robberies, or even teamed up with other criminals? The internet would have probably
Yo.
gone crazy with bad ideas. In a shocking display of incompetence, a 22-year-old thief from Thailand has become a laughingstock within the criminal world. This wannabe burglar did something that
What?
burglars usually try to avoid. He actually fell asleep on the
He
job.
fell asleep on the
That's right,
job.
the guy could not resist the cozy comforts of a
What were you
stranger's bed
saying?
and simply dozed off while trying to steal valuable
Oh
things.
my
It
god.
happened one night in a peaceful province under the cover of darkness when the sleepy thief broke into a home around 2 a.m.
Imagine.
His cunning plan included the use of an air
Okay.
conditioner to stay comfortable, but he didn't realize that the cool air would actually be his downfall. As he enjoyed the cool breeze, he grew more and more sleepy, and the
Dumbass.
combination of a soft bed and a chilled room
Uh,
would put him into a deep sleep. Now, we've all been tempted by a cozy bed and the
well, no, what
desire
were you
for a quick nap,
stealing?
but most of us have the sense not
Ay,
to doze off while
ay.
committing a crime. In the morning, in his own daughter's room.
In his
And
own
guess what?
daughter's.
He was a police officer, adding a
He
hilarious
was an
twist to the whole
officer too.
story. The groggy thief was woken up by the amazed homeowner who wasted no time in calling authorities, and the confused thief was facing the consequences of his ill-fated
Ay,
nap.
ay, ay.
The authorities arrived and arrested the bumbling
Yo, no
criminal. He
way.
would be charged with burglary and
Burglary and
trespassing,
trespassing
sealing
and
his fate
sleeping.
as one of the most inept thieves in
So
recent
dumb.
memory. But let's not be too hard on the guy. Perhaps he just needed a good
He
night's
needed a
sleep
good
after
night's
a
sleep
long
in
day
order
of
to
work.
splat.
You know, stealing can be tiring, or so they say. In the world of crime, we have quite a variety of
Uh-huh.
characters. First, there's the not-so-smart thief who tried to make a TV disappear.
TV.
She squatted over the box, held it between her legs, and
And
then
then
covered it with her dress.
okay.
It was like some kind of
Magic
strange
trick.
magic trick. And it's no wonder that she wasn't caught. She probably left the store before anyone could stop laughing. But wait, there's
She
more.
did it
We
again?
also have a duo from Brazil who thought that they could copy the Costa
No
Rican thief.
way.
They stuffed toiletries in their underwear and casually walked out of the store. What a
What's the
terrible
idea?
disguise. The shopkeeper saw right through it all and made them show what they had hidden. Hopefully, they learned their lesson and left the stolen items behind for
No, how did
punishment.
they get caught?
And let's give credit to this one who had a bit of creativity. She planned to steal a top from a clothing store
Uh-huh.
with special shorts that had a secret pouch. It was as though she was some kind of fashion kangaroo on a mission. Sadly, her fashion-forward theft was quickly stopped. A sharp-eyed store employee would catch her and
Ay,
expose her
ay,
crimes with no mercy. I bet that she probably
ay.
regretted putting so
Figure.
much effort into her criminal kangaroo outfit. It seems this technique of hiding things under dresses is popular amongst these creative thieves. In any case, it's reassuring to know that observant shopkeepers catch these criminals in the act. He thought that he could pull off a double act by pouring some ice on the floor,
Okay.
stepping on it, and then faking a dramatic slip.
Uh-huh.
It's quite the performance, I must say. After the video ended, this cunning con artist then took it up a notch. He rolled around on the floor like a true thespian until a concerned colleague found him and called an ambulance. It
Oh,
was
he
then that he
rushed to the
went off to the
hospital.
hospital, concocting an
Seriously?
elaborate scheme to milk the insurance
No
company.
way.
Alexander filed a hefty claim demanding payment for the
Yo,
ambulance
Brody's
ride
smart.
and
Brody's
supposed
thinking.
high-cost treatment for his imaginary
Yo,
injuries. But his grand plan would fall apart faster than a house of cards. The company launched an
Of course he
investigation
did.
and stumbled upon the
The
embarrassing
evidence that he
surveillance
did
footage.
that.
It would expose Alexander's fraudulent theatrics
No
right away,
way.
and instead of a fat insurance
He
payout, he
paid.
had to cough up $563 in restitution,
Ah,
face 2 years of probation, and endure 14 hours of community
no
service.
way. Poor
Quite the
fella.
punishment for a funny Australian teenager who walks into a store with a clever idea. He puts a whole crate of alcohol on the counter, thinking that he's pulling off a
Ah.
huge crime right in front of the shopkeeper. It's just typical mischief from a teenager. He stands near the automatic doors, ready to grab the drinks and run away before anyone can react.
Ah.
But here's where the surprise comes in. The shopkeeper,
Locks the
like a
door.
smart detective, notices the teenager's suspicious behavior, and instead of panicking or calling for
He
help,
locked the
he
door.
calmly uses a remote control to lock the doors. The teenage thief is now stuck inside of the store that he thought that he could outsmart. What a funny twist. The teenager's face shows his surprise when he realizes that he's been
So
tricked.
smart.
And this sneaky thief breaks into a house to steal valuable
And his
things.
alarm
He sees some
rings.
shiny jewelry and he quickly puts them in his
No
pocket and
way.
looks around. But then he finds a mattress on the floor, and instead of stealing more, he decides to take a
What?
nap. He plans to sleep for 15 minutes, but ends up sleeping for many hours.
So dumb.
Now the homeowner returns and is surprised to see a random person sleeping on their floor. They call the
Oh my
police right
god, no
away
way.
and they come to deal with the sleepy thief.
Sleeping thief.
Finally, after what feels like forever, that sleepy burglar wakes up. And what does he see? Officers search him, and surprise, surprise, they find all of the stolen
Ay, ay,
goods,
ay.
cell phones, cash,
What?
and more jewelry all hidden inside of
He's
him.
so dumb.
Well, it looks back in 2017, there was a burglar named Jesse Berube who had decided to become the master of foolishness. He went above and beyond to prove himself as being one of the dimmest criminals ever by actually calling 911 on
No
himself.
way.
Now, you might be wondering, why on earth would
Why would
somebody
someone do
do that?
that?
Well, let me just tell
He
you the
thought he could
hilarious
go away with
story.
it.
During the merry month of December, he had an ambitious plan. He wanted to play Santa Claus and break
Play
into a
Santa
business in
Claus.
Citrus Heights, California by sliding down their chimney.
Okay.
You know, just like the real Santa Claus
Hmm.
does. But here's the catch. Jesse actually had no experience in chimney
Seriously?
navigation. It was his very first time in attempting such a daring feat,
Bro,
and
what?
as he descended the chimney, his grand plan hit one major snag because he ended up getting stuck.
Aw.
Poor Jesse had found himself in a tight, dark space, unable to wriggle himself out. After some futile attempts
It
to
fell
escape, he would
apart.
reluctantly reach into his pocket, pull out his phone, and then dial 911. It really is amazing having a burglar calling the police for
Dumbass.
help, all while trapped in a chimney. I can only imagine the laughter that echoed through the police
I
station
wouldn't
as
have
they
showed
listened to
up.
his
I would have
plea
just
for
let him
assistance.
be.
Eventually, the brave officers made their way to the scene, only to discover him covered head to toe in soot like a real life chimney sweep gone wrong. After a good round of laughter, the police would successfully rescue him from his self inflicted predicament, but instead of giving him a pat on the back, they would charge him with attempted burglary.
Poor fella.
Jesse had the unique distinction of being the only criminal to have snitched on himself. Imagine this bold thief thinking that he's slicker than an oiled banana peel, breaking into the store like a wannabe action
Uh-huh.
hero. He sees that enticing door, probably thinking,
I
easy
could get in
peasy in
and
and
out.
out.
Yeah.
But little did he
It's
know
just
that door was
silly.
a cunning trap that was set by the store's owner. As he entered, the door slammed shut behind him, like a
Oh,
cruel prank that had been played on gravity itself, trapped
no.
like a hamster in a wheel. The thief must have felt like a trapped cat trying to escape a bath. But wait, the fun doesn't end there. Inside the sneaky store, there were 3 locked doors that even a wild rhino could not budge. It's like the store owner was a mastermind escape room designer.
Smart guy.
No matter how hard the thief had tried to break out, it became a futile dance with stubborn doors. And take a look at that poor thief, sweating like a long distance runner, desperately trying to break free. However, only ending up with more bruises than a tomato in a blender. And to make things worse, the entire thing would be captured on camera, immortalizing his not so
He's
successful
not so
attempted
smart.
escape. As the sensors go crazy, an alarm alerts the cavalry. The police arrive at the scene, trying hard to keep a straight face, as they discovered the trapped thief inside the very place he had planned to rob. In the end, he got his brief moment of fame, not as a cunning criminal
But
mastermind,
as a
but
dumb
as the star
person.
of his own silly reality comedy. The store owner's clever trap had turned out to be the ultimate booby prize for our unlucky burglar. If you've ever seen one of those fancy heist movies with their grand plans and thrilling escapes, you know that they always have a few key ingredients: a quirky team of misfits, a very cool montage, and of course, the perfect getaway vehicle. But it seems that our bumbling thief had missed the memo entirely in this one. Our not so bright criminal pulls off a robbery, feeling like the mastermind of the century. He sprints out of the store, adrenaline pumping, only to make a colossal blunder because instead of securing his loot, he haphazardly tosses it into the open bed of his pickup truck.
No way,
I
it
mean,
loses.
seriously, who does that? Now, we all love a good chase scene, the tension, the excitement, the heart pounding in your chest, but this particular pursuit was
That's
more of
so
the
dumb.
lackluster variety. As our thief speeds away, a store employee casually strolls up to the truck, snatching the stolen goods with a nonchalant grin and leisurely walking
No
away.
way.
In Tucson, Arizona, a criminal would find himself in a very embarrassing
Uh,
situation when he was
no
caught hanging
way. No,
upside
no, no,
down on
no,
the
no,
fence of an
no, no, no.
elementary school
In
with his
elementary
pants down.
school.
An
With his
eyewitness would
pants
report that the
down.
criminal was trying to break into Miles Elementary
Do
School,
what though?
but had slipped and fell off of the fence. Unfortunately for him, his baggy pants got stuck on the spikes, leaving him hanging by his ankles for everyone to see. The police would quickly arrive and helped him down from the fence, and then promptly arrested him, pulling him into the back of a. And interestingly, this is not the only case of a criminal being caught in a similar situation.
What?
In England, a thief in Dartford, Kent, was discovered hanging upside down by his
By his
shoelaces. He'd
shoelace.
attempted to break into a home by climbing through a window, but ended up slipping and getting his shoe and
Take his
shoelaces
shoes
trapped in
off,
the
fam.
window's frame. He dangled
Ah,
there for over an hour, all
broken
while a crowd had
glass.
gathered to watch him and make fun of him. Then the homeowner returned from work, and the burglar pleaded to be released, but instead there was this guy named John Bell who lived in Houston, Texas. He had some grand ideas of robbing a cell phone store, and so he barged in like a bull in a china shop, waving his gun around and demanding some cash. But karma had other plans for John. The clever shopkeeper and some brainy customers had the brilliant idea of escaping and locking the door behind them. Poor John suddenly found himself in a sticky
Where he's
situation, like a
trapped.
bug caught within a spider's web. Talk about a plot twist. John,
The
desperate to
bro's
make his great
trapped.
escape, had tried everything. He threw himself at
Poor
the door
fella.
like a madman, hoping that it would magically shatter or bend like rubber.
Works
These
okay.
two clumsy crooks thought that they were geniuses. They had
Uh,
decided to rob a convenience store, but little did they know that their plans were about to flop like a pancake. As they stumbled through the store, a police officer burst in like a superhero, ready to ruin their ill advised adventure. In a desperate move, the woman cleverly grabbed an innocent bystander and flung him to the ground like a sack of potatoes. Not exactly the
what?
best way to ask for help. Meanwhile, the other thief, we'll call him Mr. Clumsy, made a wild dash to escape, but got himself tangled in a maze of aisles. Fate had a good laugh as he ended up facing the police officer once again. Surrendered and outnumbered, did he give up? Oh
He
no.
tried getting
He
up.
valiantly fought back,
Ah!
only to receive a painful reminder in the form of a well aimed gunshot.
He
But
got
our
shot?
resilient Mr. Clumsy had a talent for bouncing back, and in no time he regained consciousness,
What?
having decided to try his luck once again. Like a magician, he tried to
He
disappear
tried
into
to
thin
run,
air,
but no,
but the
no,
police officer
no.
was not
Got
having
him.
any of it. With a swift move, he effortlessly immobilized our wannabe Houdini, where meanwhile, our not so graceful heroine had her own escape plan. Sneaking toward the back of the
Ah,
store, she had dreamt of making a squirrel like getaway through the
what?
ceiling. However,
She
reality
fell.
slapped her in the face when she crashed onto the floor like a falling piano. It turns out that gravity was not a fan of her cunning antics. To make matters even worse, the poor woman had to pay for the damages that
Oh!
were
She
caused.
paid for the
Talk
damage
about an
too?
expensive
No
mistake.
way!
40-year-old man found himself in a bit of a pickle. He was sitting in a cell at a police station in Brazil after getting caught for stealing. Now, he had this brilliant
That
idea to
is
escape,
escaping.
and you won't believe how he tried to pull
He
it
tried
off.
to jump
You
in the
see,
wall.
there was a small hole in the cell door's food passage, and it was only 30 centimeters wide, which is not exactly spacious. However, our daring thief thought that he could squeeze through it and make a run
You can
for it.
squeeze
What an
through
escape plan, right? As luck would have it, though, things did not go according to
it.
plan. As soon as he began to shimmy through that tiny hole, disaster would strike, and he got stuck.
Uh,
Can you imagine the panic? There he was, shouting for help, realizing that he had miscalculated his body dimensions or something. The police officers couldn't free him, so they had to call firefighters in for
oh,
backup. That's right, firefighters actually had to come to the rescue
what?
of a thief that was stuck in a door. I bet they never expected that when they signed up for the job. After about 30 agonizing minutes, firefighters managed to save the
Finally.
day. They had to use a hydraulic tool to pry him out, and I can only imagine the
Yo,
relief on his
no
face when he
way.
was finally freed from that door's clutches. In the town of Belleville, Illinois, there was a not so smart criminal
What did he
who
do?
thought that robbing a gas station would be a great
Robbing
idea.
gas station.
And to hide his identity,
Uses a
he came up
plastic
with the
bag.
brilliant plan of wearing a mask. But unfortunately, his choice of disguise
Seriously,
was
that's
far
like
from
a
impressive.
last minute
He
mask.
walked into the store with a see through plastic bag over his head.
Hey.
Perhaps he had missed the memo on how masks were supposed to work. The criminal managed to snatch a whopping $60
$60
from the gas
from
station.
gas? Seriously?
But I will CCTV
I
footage,
got him like
and
that.
surprise, surprise, they did not have a whole lot of
Hey,
trouble
hey.
identifying the dim witted
Oh
thief.
my god.
They quickly arrested him and gave him a 15-year vacation in prison for his
15
little robbery
years?
adventure. It turns
Holy.
out the guy had actually had a history of bad decisions. But wait, there's more. In Louisa, Virginia, a couple of shoplifters would be caught
Use
on camera stealing
watermelons.
alcohol from a convenience store. And their choice of disguise? Two
That's
watermelons that
smart.
were carved out to fit their
That
head,
is smart.
complete with eye holes. I mean, who knew criminals had a thing for fruity fashion? The police would waste no time in
And they
cracking the fruity
got
case
him.
either. They identified one of the melon headed culprits as 20-year-old Justin Rogers.
No
He was
way.
slapped with a charge of larceny, and you'll wonder if the police used their own
Oh.
melons to track him down, because that would explain their uncanny ability to solve such melon minded crimes. Not all criminals are that dishonest. Believe it or not, some actually enjoy good old fashioned hard work. And that's where this story takes a hilarious turn.
Uh-huh.
This particular criminal must have been the dumbest or most considerate thief in the world, because after swiping a lawnmower from a home in Port Arthur, Texas, guess what he does? He then decides to do some yard work. That's right, he heads out into the garden and begins mowing the homeowner's lawn. Talk about
What?
multitasking. Of course, the police show up and spoil the fun. Our crook, being
So
the genius
he
that he
robbed
is,
somebody
makes a run
and
for it,
then
dragging the stolen lawnmower behind him.
Mulan.
But here's where
Seriously.
the comedy kicks in. The lawnmower turns out to be a real burden for our aspiring landscaper. It's too heavy and it slows him down, so he ditches it in an alleyway,
Oh.
thinking that he can escape more easily. But hold on to your horses. They haven't caught old Marcus yet. They're still on the lookout for him. Will he ever be found? Well, who knows? But here's the best part. While all of the chaos is unfolding, the homeowner is having the last laugh, because not only do they get their stolen
They
lawnmower
get
back,
their law
their lawn
mowed
is
too.
neatly mowed for free.
What?
That's what I call a win win situation.
Yo.
Now remember, these stories are not only about the
No way. Those are like the dumbest robberies ever. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below which one was the dumbest. Comment down below what should I do next. And see you guys next time. Glog, glog.